Welcome to the simpliHOM podcast, where we educate, inspire, and entertain real estate entrepreneurs seeking a casual and practical podcast. We're here to simplify your life and business.
You can find growth anywhere. And as long as you have an open mind and take those opportunities to learn, then you're going to grow from it.
The easiest thing too is just always being in your zone of genius. What you are passionate about and are good at.
The mindset shift is drastic when you're thinking of I am this person as opposed to I want to become or one day I will be is huge.
I feel like a lot of real estate companies have been putting a focus on themselves basically. Recently we've been putting it on the agents, and that's when our socials have been doing the best. It's become really personal and we've gotten a lot more traction. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the simpliHOM podcast. My name is Sarah Wiley Armstrong, and I'm going to be hosting today. I am joined here by Brett Rutkowski.
Whoa, I got up first!
Our COO.
Whoa!
Yes.
The switch up.
Wow.
I love it.
We're also joined here by Kyle Mann, the man, the myth, the legend.
Hello.
Grant Brotan over on the ones and twos. And our guest star of today is Derek Trainer.
Yo, what up?
Yo.
I don't want to give too much about him because, you know, this will be all about him. So if you want to know who Derek Trainer is, you stay tuned.
Oh my god,
Derek, who are you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even know anymore.
Question number one.
So Derek's one of our agents here at simpliHOM, but he does a lot more than just be an agent. So we want to dive into who this man is and some of the crazy stuff he's done.
Oh man.
He's like, great. He's like,
Awesome.
me having to talk about myself?
No, this is nerve-wracking.
Take a deep breath.
He's never been on camera before.
So if you were to summarize who you are as a person in one sentence.
You're already starting.
Yep. It's why you're here.
Derek, I don't know if you got the memo.
Hey,
bro,
you're
but
supposed to
you
ask
gotta
me
be ready.
questions?
This is an interview.
Well, we wanted to
Not
talk
an
about
interrogation.
we want to talk about personal branding, and that was something that we felt that you are exceptional at. So we wanted to talk a little bit more about what you do, what that looks like practically, what it looks like publicly. But first, we need to know, because people who are listening may not know you, who are you?
Ooh, that is a very deep question there, Kyle. Yeah, so I'll start with kind of a backstory on myself. I have sold everything you could possibly imagine, but after doing sales my whole life and working in a corporate environment, I got to a point where I was like, this is pretty miserable. And both my parents are entrepreneurs. My mom was a court reporter, personal type of thing. Yeah, so she did that, and
That's skills.
it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
She's awesome. She wrote all my papers growing up, so that was great. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening.
She gonna write your book when you write one too?
Yeah,
All right, fair
100%.
enough.
Her name will be on the very bottom, just like Betty.
Just
No,
Betty.
Just Betty, not even her last name. She's not allowed. Anyway, so yeah, I sold everything you could possibly imagine, and then I got to a point after, I had no control in the corporate world. It was always, what does somebody tell me to do? I go do it. I come to work at a certain time. I leave at a certain time. I wasn't passionate about anything I really sold. And I actually had a friend of mine, Eric Kinsley, Eric, had said, hey man, you really need to get into real estate. So I got to a point where after 4 years of him asking me over and over again, like, hey, I think you'd be great at real estate. I got let go of my job, which is another story for maybe another day, not today, but it wasn't a bad thing. It was just, it wasn't working for me. It wasn't working for them. I had never sold IT products before. If I have no clue what I'm doing, it's hard to sell something. So I just had to get out of the job I was in previously. So I got into that for a temporary. So as soon as he was like, hey, look, I don't think that this is going to work out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 2 months severance package. And, I've got 3 jobs lined up in this industry that if you want to take them, take them. It's whichever one you want. You just tell me and you've got it. I've already talked to everybody as the hire, and you can go ahead and go in. All you got to do is show up to the interview. You got the job. He said, but if you want to do real estate and that's what you want to do and that's your passion, or you think it's going to be and something you want to try, then that's what you need to do. And I'll give you this 2 month severance and that'll help, which of course it did, because you need about 2 months. Back then it was pre-COVID. So you could go into class and be done in 2 weeks, go take your test, and you're good to go. So I did. That's exactly what I did. I immediately went home, signed up for my classes, went and took my took my classes, took my tests, got into real estate, haven't looked back since. So that's just a little bit about my backstory and where I come from. But I'm a Nashville native. I was born and raised here in Nashville, right outside of Nashville in Old Hickory, which is pretty cool. So the hospital I was born in, my daughter was now born in. So I love that. But I've got a wife named Bethany Trainer. She is also a real estate agent. She helps me so much on the back end that people just don't know. She's not as much of the front-facing real estate agent that a lot of agents are. She's more of the after the close. So all of our past clients, doing the past client events. She's phenomenal at creating events, which we'll get into in another time. But anyway, so she helps a whole lot there. Of course, helps with Crew, which is my daughter, Crew Lachlan. She helps take care of her as well. So, and then I have a team, the Trainer Group, which we'll get into in just a little bit, which we created for a reason, but I'll get to that also in a little bit. But anyway, we have Eric Aristobal, who's also on our team. He's an awesome agent. He's been an agent for 10 years. We've been friends for a long time. And yeah, so that kind of gives you a backstory on me. But who am I? I'm a really passionate, overly eccentric, sometimes psychotic guy that you should buy or sell a home with.
There you go.
Hey, there's the elevator pitch right there.
Yeah.
Write that one down. Yeah, write that one down.
That's so funny because I actually said on the way here, I was practicing. I wasn't practicing, but I did think in my head. I was like changing. So if he asked me what my elevator pitch is, which is what I thought you would do, I've like literally got it all like in my entire process, and then you went completely the opposite way.
Yeah, you know I'm not going to ask that question.
I know.
Right?
I know you're not now, so now I have to just say it. But changing the way that people view the real estate agent. So that's something that I've said a long time, and people always ask me, like, as soon as they see that, that's your hook, right? That's where it's like, what? Like, what does that mean? Like, what? Because it's provocative. Yeah. You know. No, but it gets you thinking. It's like, what does he mean by changing the way people view the real estate agent? And to be honest with you, there's a lot of agents that give a bad name for real estate, and I've heard so many horror stories. I've been through horror stories myself before I got into real estate and buying houses, and that's one reason I got in. But I want to change the way people view what we do, because I feel like people think that we just show up to a closing table, we show a couple houses, and we make a ton of money, and that's not at all what it is. It is so much further into that.
I mean, how many times have you had a conversation with like, why don't you just give me half of the commission back at close? Because all you do is fill out some paperwork anyways, right?
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
So what did you
12
do?
years 12 years in, I mean, I can't even count anymore how many times. Would you ask your doctor for a commission? A referral? No.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You hired me for a reason.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
I agree. But I don't even know where I'm going with all this.
Yeah. Changing the way.
Change the way that people view the real
way.
estate agent, and then it's like, okay, well, how do you do that? And that kind of goes into the branding stuff, but we'll get to there in a minute.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, there's the reason why we brought you in about. I was talking.
No, you're getting there. I'm
the reason
calling
why
you
we
out.
brought
So we have a brain fart thing.
It was not a. That was not a brain fart.
I was like,
Brett, that was
what
him thinking.
No.
just happened?
You
Exactly.
have to give me half a second.
Why was that you?
Everyone's triggered here.
Push it.
Don't push it.
Grant
It's
knows.
not-
He's the conductor.
He
He
does
knows.
know, and he knows that it was not a brain fart. Oh, come on.
All right. As long
So
as I
the
didn't have
reason why
first one.
ridiculous.
the reason why we thought of you, and one of the things that we wanted to specifically talk about is the personal branding, because there's something about when people look at your socials, when they work with you, you have an aesthetic visually. You also have a set process when it comes to working with clients. And I've, anybody who may not know, we've been working together for
Over 2 years.
over 2 years,
Maybe even 2.5.
on the content creation side.
Yep.
And we were friends years ago, 10 years ago or so, but then didn't really catch up until the end. So we started creating content, and the one thing I noticed is that your photos have a certain look, Your captions underneath your Instagram posts and Facebook posts have a certain look. I knew the moment that when you guys bought the Anytime Fitness, I knew the moment that switched because the posts changed, and that's brand recognition.
That's so true.
So, we kind of wanted to dive in a little bit into like what led you to make that a part of your business. Like let's start from the beginning. Was that pre-planned, or like did you like sit down and plan out like, okay, this is what the Instagram posts are going to look like. This is how I'm going to edit my photos. This is what everything's going to look and feel like.
Yeah. So let's go with the fact that, number one, I never had to brand anything. I never owned a business. I was never a 1099 self-employed individual. So I never even knew really what branding was. And then you get into real estate and you think every agent's the exact same.
Yeah.
They, in any of the socials, any of the interactions, it's almost identical. It's like we're robots. And
Just listed, just sold,
yeah,
coming soon.
it's always the same thing. And I do that still. I'll do that.
Yeah,
to this
yeah. Oh,
day,
yeah, it's-
because it's still
it's
a part of it.
It's part of it. Yes.
But it shouldn't be all of it.
Correct.
You have to set yourself apart in some way, form, or fashion. And for me, one of the biggest things that I did when I first got into real estate was okay, first off, I got to learn how to sell real estate. Like, you get in, you're green. You have no clue. You've never sold a house before. And somehow people are supposed to trust you with one of their largest investments of their entire lives. Like, if you think of it that way, you're like, oh crap, that's wild. So that was my first step, is I have to learn to be a professional. I have to actually know my stuff. So for 2 years I was on a team, and during that time, that team had already branded themselves. So they had a lot of things that they did themselves that I just picked up on while I was watching their different Instagram posts, their themes, everything that they did within their company. I was like, this is interesting to me. I'm going to take note. So one thing, if I could give any advice, is just learn from other people. Nothing's original, period.
Yep.
Yeah.
No matter what I say here today, no matter what somebody else says, at the end of the day, they learned it from somebody, and that person learned it from somebody else. At some point, it might have been original, but at the end of the day, we're all just taking and learning as we go. And then the key is not to take, copy, and paste. It's to take and then turn it into what you want it to be. That
Own original
represents
piece.
your
Yeah.
originality. And going back to what you were asking is, I learned at that point, okay, I need to really look into, like, what do I want my stuff to look like? What do I want to, and you'll look, if you go back to my Instagram, you'll see, and it takes a while because I've posted way too much, but at the very bottom, like, you'll see progression from there to now is like night and day.
Yeah.
And another piece of advice is like, if you're gonna go into it and you're gonna say, I really want to start my own brand, or I really want to brand myself as a real estate agent specifically, because that's obviously what I do, then I need to set myself apart. But you have to understand that it's not going to be perfect at the beginning. It's going to take time. It's refining your processes. It's refining the way things look. It's refining. I literally just changed. And if you look at my Instagram, you'll see it. Like, in the last 6 months, maybe even less, maybe 3 months, I went from how I had everything looking to now it's more sleek, it's more uniform, and it's more like Copa said, everything just goes well together now. But I just changed that 3 months ago, and I'm almost 8 years in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, your style is going to change over time too.
Right.
Right. It's never,
right.
You're growing, your eye for things is growing, and the market, right, the social platform changes a little bit too. So it's not, that's evolving.
Correct.
It's not, oh, my brand didn't work. No, it's just evolved to, maybe it's more luxury feel, right? Clean feel. I like, when Swy and I were looking at certain things, I like a little bit darker,
Moody.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Kyle.
Dark
Yeah.
and moody.
Yeah. But it's evolving. One thing I have to say by watching you, and I personally don't believe in the individual brand, right? Like people that try to brand themselves versus being authentically you. And I have to say, that's one thing that I've always said from like meeting you the first time at the award ceremony, all that, like, you are who you are on camera for the most part, right?
That makes me super happy.
It is. Right?
I try to just be myself all the time, man.
But that's what I've got is all the videos are very like
authenticity.
Yeah, you're not faking who you are because it's a social platform.
And I look like an idiot doing it. It's the best.
But that's okay. But because you have to be relatable.
Right.
It doesn't matter how good you are at putting colors together, pictures together.
Yeah.
If that's not you in person, people will call you out on it.
Oh, yeah.
Step one is be authentic.
Yes.
And then you work on, okay, well, what does that look like to the public? Like, how do I convey my authentic self visually? Like, and that's where the branding comes into play. I think what you said about, and I am guilty of this too, you would agree as well. I am a perfectionist at heart. So learning to let go of setting everything up in advance. And I think a lot of agents feel that same way. Like, well, I have to have my website up. I have to have this designed. I have my logo. I have to have this. You don't. You need to learn how to sell real estate first.
Yes.
And then I think that is.
Brand don't mean nothing if you can't sell, right?
Yeah. So,
No.
and also too, on the note of like looking at other people, there's a book, I've mentioned it before in the podcast. It's called Steal Like an Artist by Austin Klein. I think even as an agent who's looking into branding, it's a super quick read, super graphic heavy, really great looking book, but it's all about nothing is original. Like nothing you do is so original that is never been done before or will never be done again.
Yep.
So your job is to find out what influences you like, what feels authentic to you, and then take those influences and synthesize it to make it yours.
And I think just to add to that point, you were saying basically when it comes to the authenticity and making it you, I think when people think of that, they're like, okay, well, what's in my mind, what looks good to other people, that's not being authentic.
No.
Just because it looks good to other people and you can do it doesn't mean that that's what you should do. And that's where like it took me a little while when I got in to realize like, this is not, there's certain things I was doing. It was like, this is not me. It's just not me. Like I love wearing suits. I do love it. However,
when the occasion calls for it, right?
Right.
Okay.
I'll wear a suit all day. I'll wear suit and tie. I love it. But I feel that over time I realized I was like, that's not really me though. Like I get it. It's professional. And I think there is a time and place for it. And I think it's great. And honestly, there's a lot of agents that wear suits all the time. I used to be one and I love that. I think that's great. It is very professional. However, I want to be, like you said earlier, relatable. And I also want to be myself. But you're going to find out it's not how I dress. It's what I do to help you find your home, what I do to help you find that investment property, what I do to, it's my actions that speak louder than those words. It's not what I look like as far as my dress. So I think when it comes to being authentic, instead of like, hey, this agent wears like Ryan Serhant, favorite.
Yep.
I'll say it all day.
Yeah.
I follow him like a nut psychopath. Okay. Love the guy. He is awesome. I love everything about his brand. I love everything about what he does. He's constantly evolving.
Pure genius.
He's genius.
But is he, or is he very good at surrounding himself with
the right people?
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I agree with that too. And he's constantly evolving and constantly taking the new that no one's doing right now. And he's now the first to do it, or he's the first to do it right, or whatever.
Yeah. Right. First to do it his way on a huge platform
to synthesize
too.
with his brand.
And there's the authenticity. So if you can go follow Ryan Serhant, do it. Just even if you're not, let's just say you're not even a realtor, it doesn't matter. Just following his stuff. Like he's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything he does is on brand.
And it's him.
Every time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he doesn't like beat around the bush. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I used to watch $1 Million Listing. New York was always my favorite one, right? And with that, what you see on that show, and to even just on his vlog,
his
it's
vlog
the
is my
same.
favorite.
Yeah,
like if you met him in person, and I've been on an actual Zoom meeting with him in one of the mentorship programs. How he's on TV was there too.
That's cool.
You know it's him. Even what's that sales show? I guess it was Sell Like Serhant before the book came
Sell
out.
It Like
Was
Serhant.
it? Yeah.
He went and helped people sell whatever it was they were selling.
If you look at him, anytime you see him on TV, on Instagram, on whatever platform, it's the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
The same Ryan. Just like you. The videos and you in person, it's you.
Yeah. And that's where it comes back to like, you can't, the unapologetically. So if you are a certain way, be that way all the time. Like you have to have an inner peace about it. When you're going out and you're on a listing appointment or you're in a buyer's meeting, same thing every time. I am very much myself. I joke way too much, but that's just what I do. And I'll do it in listing appointments. And honestly, I win listing appointments because they're like, this dude's just a regular guy.
They want to work with you. Yeah.
Yes. And that's what I want to be, is just that. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And that's fine.
For the better anyway.
Right.
At least now you know this. You showed them, this is who I am. Is this going to work out? Like, is this going to be like, is this what you're looking for? This is how I communicate.
And I say that on the list, or let's say a buyer meeting, for instance. I'll literally go in and I'll say at the very beginning, like, hey, there's 3 things I need. Number 1, I need you to trust me and know that I know what I'm doing, period.
Yeah.
If you don't trust me, I will know it and it's done. And that's okay. But I don't want that to happen. But if that's the case, like, I need you to right now, even though we just met, sometimes not, most of the time not, but if we just met, like, you've got to trust me even though you don't know me yet. Number 1. Number 2, you got to be honest with me. So if you're going to go look at this house, like, don't go look at it because I sent it to you. If you think it's the ugliest house you've ever seen, just tell me it's the ugliest house you've ever seen.
Don't send me that again.
I have no emotion in the deal. I'm
for
emotionless here. I got to be outside of the box. You're in the box looking at the house. This is your house, not mine. So be honest with me. And then now I'm like, where am I at? The third one. Where am I on? 3 or 2?
3.
Dude, brain fart. Do it right now.
Yeah. You're number 3.
Oh, right.
Brought him back.
Yeah.
Thanks, Grant.
So trust, honesty, and then be patient. That's the other thing, is I think right now, especially in the world we live in, is it's just a very impatient world with everything you do.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing that even more and more with the buyer side. It's like, oh, I'm done. Why can't I have a house today?
Yeah.
Or even on the selling side, like, yes, you can sell a house fairly quickly right now. I get that, but the patience level is just not there. You have to be patient, and it's okay to be patient.
Yeah. And this is a little off topic of branding,
Which is what I just did.
Yeah, but it's okay. I'm gonna go with that. Most agents are, one, they don't have that conversation of the trust, because at the end, most and until you can prove that trust, like, most buyers are like, oh, do they really know?
Yep.
Unless they personally know you. So that's something, having that conversation up front is great. But the last 2 that you said, right? The be patient, brain fart me, because what was the second one? Honesty, there it is. At the end of the day, most agents treat the transaction with, you said you don't have emotion in it. They treated it as they get more emotionally charged and like, oh man, when are they going to make an offer? When are they going to do that? You know, and that
commission breath.
Correct. And it should not be like that.
I agree.
Should not. So the fact that you have that conversation up front, and your client will long-term know, okay, he told me to be patient. He's not rushing me. And I always told my clients, if I got to show you 500 houses, you'll know the minute you walk in that door that that's the house for you.
100%.
That's it. I can't change that. If you don't truly love the house, do not make an offer, because there will be one out there that you truly do love.
I agree.
That's one thing I've always respected about the way you conduct your business, and that's probably the biggest thing the biggest takeaway from you from a business and just general, just in general, is setting expectations, setting the right expectations. That is something that I've noticed, the way you handle your clients and the way we work together. And also too, you ask for the same in return.
100%.
So there's that mutual brain fart.
Oh,
that's a real
right
one.
Now.
That's a real one.
That was a real one.
Did you, those 3 things that you mentioned, the honesty, the trust, and the
Be patient.
Be patient.
I saved your brain fart again.
Thanks. When you were coming up with those, is that something you just knew off the get-go?
No.
Is it something that you took time to like write down? What did that process look like to, one, discover and then implement?
I think let's start with the discovery and remind me of implement, because I'll forget it. So discovering it was like, you're not going to know what to say in a buyer meeting unless you either have a mentor or you have somebody, a team that you're on that, again, you'll have a mentor within that team, but you're not going to just know what to say in a buyer meeting, period.
Right.
So discovering it was, sometimes you have to fall over and you realize, oh crap, I should have set that expectation. And it kind of comes back to that. If you're a brand new agent listening to this, if I was to give the biggest piece of advice in real estate, period, it's not how to sell 1 million homes or how to do this. It's literally, if you set the right expectations, period. It's all about the front end expectations. So if you're like, oh, what are all those expectations? Well, I'm sure I could go over 100 of them with you right now, but I'm not going to. Well, that'll be another time. You can call me anytime. But if you come up with those expectations in your mind, you're like, I have to set these up front. No matter what you do from that point on, they know what's coming. Good, bad, or indifferent, they know it's coming. So at the end of the day, expectations in real estate is more important than absolutely anything, because it'll help somebody from making a bad decision on a house that they don't want. It'll help somebody realize that it's okay to wait for that next house. They don't have to make an offer immediately, kind of like what you were saying. Like, you can go on for days of all the things that it could prevent. And then it prevents you from looking like an idiot, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, if you come in and you say, here's all of our expectations, and then they happen, you're like, remember that conversation we talked about? And they're like,
told you.
Oh, yeah. Or they'll tell you, like, oh, well, Derek, you already told us this was going to happen. Yeah, I did.
And it keeps them from freaking out.
Correct.
Because you already told them it's going to happen. So it's almost like it's just a natural occurrence in the process.
Correct. And that goes back to the making, like, that's why I say, like, helping people make the smartest decision with one of their biggest investments of their entire lives. How do you do that? Set the right expectations, because at the end of the day, the only way you know you're making the smartest move is if you know what to expect.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Yeah. Well, I love that, because I mean, they've heard me a lot say, it's all about the expectations you set up front with the onboarding here with client, with agents, and just any conversation you have in general. You have to set the expectation, because you're just assuming that person either knows the process, or when they get into it, if you set the expectation of something's going to happen, and it happens that way, you look like a genius, or you look like, oh, I know what I'm doing.
Look
but
like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but if you don't, you already know what's going to happen, but you're just assuming they know.
Correct.
And
Which
then
is
at that point, you look like the idiot at that point.
And then the trust is gone.
Correct.
Now everything's gone. It's like a domino effect. It just falls down. And you're like, okay, well, I lost that client.
Yeah.
You don't want to go there.
And how do you, I know this answer, but how did you come up with the top expectations that you should be setting?
Well, so again, I was on a team, so there was some that I learned from them. So I got to give credit to them where credit's due. But a lot of it was just going on those buyers' appointments and realizing, wow, people don't know. Well, yeah, I mean, kind of. Like the majority of people, whether they've bought a house before or not, sometimes they've bought a house in another state and it's different here because it's different rules, regulations, etc., different laws. Or if they're a first-time home buyer, they really don't know, and they are truly leaning on you as the expert to tell them everything, and they need that because, and that was, again, it comes from the experience of going on those buyer's appointments, those listing appointments, and watching a mentor. And if you can get a mentor, if you're new, get a mentor, period. If you can't get a mentor, get on the team, period.
Yeah.
You do not want to get your real estate license and then just fall on your face over and over again until you get it. That's not how it works here.
Yeah. That's how it worked for me.
I'm just telling you advice-wise.
I always tell everyone, if I had to start over again, one, I'd go into the mortgage side of things, but two, if it was real estate, it'd be on a team, hands down.
100%.
Yep.
And that's what you need to do. Yep. So anyways, but yeah, just honestly, like learning from other people or mentors on what to say or what to ask or make sure that they know. And then also just realizing, wow, this person doesn't know. So I really need to think of all of the different things. So I wrote down, this is a long time ago. I wrote down everything, just brainstormed for hours of everything I could possibly imagine that had to do with the buying and the selling process before I got into investing. And once I did that, I was like, okay, now let's go down. What are the specific things that apply to every single person, no matter what?
Yep.
Because some people are different. They have their certain specific situations. But if you do that, and I mean, I've got my list and sometimes it's different, but that's where I came up with like my top 3. These are the most important to me and should be the most important to them. Because it encompasses everything. And then you can deep dive into each one of them if you really wanted to. So
yeah, for me, it setting expectation always came from that point of assumption, right? And being in the moment of, give this example of business partnership, right? If you don't set those expectations up front, you eventually at some point go down different paths.
Correct.
Because you both thought, hey, this is my vision or this is my vision. And then at some point you have to end that business relationship. And so for me, it's the same thing with your buyers. I mean, it's business for us. It's a purchase for them. But at some point you lose that trust. But I don't ever want to be in the position. And if it happens, I learn from it.
Sure.
I'll never, moving forward, now that I know what I know, I'll never have the same thing happen again. Right? If I didn't set the right expectation, that's on me. I'm going to own it
and never do it again.
For sure.
100%.
I want to get back to the branding side.
Yeah, let's get back on topic.
So no, this is good. Yeah. No, that's all valuable information. Yeah. So with an agent that might be, maybe they are in year 2. Maybe at this point they feel competent and comfortable with the process of the actual the skill set needed to do to sell real estate. What advice do you have for them? Like, where should they start when it comes to when they start thinking about, okay, brand? What am I like? Where is it that they should start, or even start thinking to help determine where they should start?
So first off, where not to start, don't just go create a logo and think you have a brand. Total honesty here.
Yeah.
Because that's what I did, or at least that's what I thought. And then somebody in this room said, no, that's not branding. Let's go a little further. So I will say Kyle did help me a lot on branding and understanding branding a few years back. But anyways, if I was to give if I was to give the biggest piece of advice on that, it would be start with like, what is branding? That's the number one thing is like, okay, let's forget real estate, forget everything. What is branding in general? Okay. And branding is when someone sees that, they think of you, period. That's the easiest, simplest way to look at it. Whether that be a logo, I mean, that's part of it. Sure. Right. Very small, but
still
it's
part.
Still part for sure.
100%.
But they need to think of that. So if I was to give it, I would say, when I say changing the way people view the realtor, like that is a hook for me. And then a mission statement or something that you can come up with. I say mission statement. I don't like that term because everybody uses that term, but something that's like, why are you doing this? Like, why do you do what you do? Why does somebody need to go to you versus me, or vice versa? Right? Like, it needs to be, you have to sit and think about like, what is that to me? So my mission statement, or like, not my full one, I got a really long one, but I'll just say that, I want to help people make one of the smartest moves with one of their biggest investments of their entire lives. There's a lot to that. It sounds pretty simple, but if I want to help somebody make the smartest move with one of the biggest investments, well, first off, let's start with smart moves. Okay. So then there's so many different, like, it's like a tree. You have branches that you can branch off of what that mission statement is. So for smart moves, it's like, okay, number one, obviously when you hear it, you say, okay, well, I want to be making the best decision possible with this house that I'm going to buy or sell or whatever. With one of life's biggest investments. Well, the majority of people, this is their biggest investment, right? There's not a lot of, you might look at statistics. I don't know the statistics, but if you look at buying a house, there is not a lot of people that's their largest investment of their life, period.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes it's not an asset, it's a liability depending on the situation, but the majority can be an asset, in my opinion. But making the smartest decision with one of life's biggest investments. Okay. Then you can branch off. So for me, we branched off to, okay, I went the video route. I think video I came to you and I said, hey man, I know you do video. I want to do video work. I have no idea what that looks like, but I know that right now, and that's where it comes back to trend and it comes back to what's popular now. I'm pivoting to go towards whatever that is. And video got in big about 2 years ago. It started really hitting hard. And I was like, we need to do this. Kyle's like, yes, let's go.
Sounds like him too.
Yeah, let's go.
We spend zero time together. It's fun. But I said, we sat down at a Starbucks, we brainstormed on what it was going to look like. And we came up with like the Smart Moves episodes of what we were going to do and what this is going to look like long term. And I personally went the long form format instead of short. There's a lot right now that's really popular with Reels and TikToks and everything, which I've been told to continue, like go down that path. And I'm like fighting it so hard.
You have enough content that you could put.
I know.
You don't have to recreate anything.
I know.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. As long as you know.
I need an editor to do that.
All right.
You have an editor.
Okay. Anyways, so just starting with that mission statement, or starting with like a hook statement, something that's like, this is why I do what I do, and this is why you need to use me, period. And then working around that, and that be your core of what gets you from point A to point B, point A being basically a mission statement, why people should use you.
Yeah. So you have to start with the cornerstone.
Correct.
Like you're starting with the foundation before you can even think about what your logo is going to look like, how you're going to edit your photos, what type of content you're going to be coming out with. You got to figure out what is it that separates me from other people and write it down.
Yeah.
You need to write it down. And then from there, you have the cornerstone of every piece of content. That also makes creating content and your branding a lot easier because you're not having to think of like, okay, what is this going to be about? Because Smart Moves, I think that was kind of the concept of the show itself and why we did a Q&A format.
Correct.
Because it's Smart Moves. Like you're educating people on one of the biggest investments of their lives. So that was part of that. So it was really easy to tie back to your mission statement.
Yep.
I think that's huge. And that's kind of goes into Story Brand, the book that I'm reading now and that we've started to apply within simpliHOM. And it's all about, you need to identify who your client is, or who in the hero's journey, you're identifying who the customer is, what are their pain points, and how you can uniquely solve them. Mm-hmm. And that's how you develop kind of your brand. It's like, what is it that's unique about you to help these people?
Because there's not hundreds of thousands of realtors.
They can point at people walking by, and 50 to 60% of them have their license.
And one of the bigger ones is like, why should you use me over your family member?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or your best friend. And it's like, and then same with me. I've had that. I've had friends not use me. I've had people that I never in a million years would have thought use me, and they use me. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I can go down another rabbit hole. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, and I think agents do get caught up in we mentioned rip-off, and we didn't mention this, but R&D is called rip-off and duplicate sometimes instead of research and development. I think agents have the tendency to see what other agents are doing and then directly copying everything about it.
Which is what I was saying. Instead of copying it, make it fit you. Mm-hmm. And then you will come out in whatever it is that you do. So, yeah, am I the first realtor to ever do React videos? I don't know. Probably not.
No, you're one of the few.
But still, like, probably not.
Yeah.
And it's just making it about, like, trying to get yourself out there for people to realize, like, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. And then, hey, this guy seems like a guy I could, like, literally get along with. Like, I want him to potentially sell my house, buy my house, whatever.
Yeah.
And you got to be relatable.
And that's one of our meetings was about that. Like, what is it about Derek that we can show with the content? Because it's not just real estate. And that's why we went with more of an entertainment focus as well, because you're entertaining. Like you're comfortable in front of a camera, you're competent you're an expert in your field. So we could have you on camera being goofy and us doing these little skits every once in a while.
You said entertaining. I'm like,
don't you mean
entertaining or just like, who? This guy's an idiot.
But that was a part of you that we leaned into.
Yeah.
Because we sat there and like, okay, well, what is Derek Trainer like? What do you like to do? What is it that, so we like threw out different things. Like, that doesn't really work. We can't really create content around there, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's important too, as you're looking into how you can separate yourself and your personal brand, lean into what makes you human.
Yep.
Like, what is it about you that's uniquely you? And it doesn't have to be about real estate.
Correct. That's the part that I think for me, when we were talking, resonated the most because I was like, everything that you see, I mean, everything's from the outside looking in. So if you go to somebody's Instagram or any social, you see one thing. Mm-hmm. Then when you meet them in person, you see something sometimes completely polar opposite. And you're like, what? I did not expect that.
Yeah.
So when you say that, the whole real estate, everybody thinks real estate. I need to create content about real estate. It's always real estate. When you can tie in real estate, but have something else that makes people go, what is he doing? What is that? Or interested in general. Like, I don't know. I just feel like when you said that originally, I was like, I've always tried to just go the real estate route or think about a house. How many times have you seen a picture of a house and you're like, I literally don't care to look at this at all, because nobody does.
Yep.
They're just like us, right? You look at everything that people like on your page or whatever, and you look at the houses that I post, I'll look and see how many likes, what my engagement is, and none of those get engagement.
Always the least. Yeah.
It's always the least.
That's just nobody goes to social media to see properties, right?
Right,
they all know now, all right, I'm going to realtor.com or Zillow or whatever platform they choose. Hopefully your platform, but
Trainer.com.
Yeah, there you go. so most individuals go to social media for that dopamine hit. Mm-hmm. They want some sort of
entertainment.
Yeah, entertainment. They want to see other people do stupid things, right? They want to feel like they're part of something. They're trying to escape something. Not everyone, but or trying to just waste time. Those houses are not giving them that dopamine.
No,
at all. Mm-mm. That there's a reason why, and I'm glad you went video because there's a reason why now Reels and specifically TikTok took off. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about it. Vine back in the day was 6 seconds, and that thing, bad leadership, obviously. And that, but still, yeah.
Look at the people who came from.
Yep.
What was it Paul brothers?
Yeah.
They came from.
I mean,
they took that strategy and put it into all other platforms and are crushing it, right?
Yeah.
So, the video gives even more so than just a picture, right? The video gives that emotion that you can feel, hear, can't really touch, but you can see what they're doing, right? You can feel like you're involved.
And that's the hook. So when it comes, just to try and tie it back into the branding side, is, everybody does goofy videos. I mean, I see agents right now that do goofy videos that have never done anything like that before, and it doesn't fit, but it works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's weird because I'm like, really? But then I'm like, good job. Because that's the point. It's not about, you've got to get uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. You might not be all about video. You might not, it doesn't matter. Do it anyway.
Yeah.
And the reason why I haven't done the Reels is specifically, we've talked about this, because I feel, as much as it might not seem like it, like I said, you look at somebody's Instagram or whatever, they might seem like the most outgoing person ever. And I mean, I probably am, but I am like horrified to do a reel because I'm a perfectionist. I want it to be perfect.
So think about this,
Just
right?
do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So it's funny you say that. So I was doing a lot of YouTube stuff for a while with agents, and we had video editors, and we were posting, and all the time it's like, oh, where do I start with the video? Or how? I said, just sit. We'll edit out the mistakes. Yeah. We'll perfect that. Just do it. You have to just record the videos.
Your first video is never going to be good.
Exactly.
Second video probably isn't going to be it.
For sure.
You want to know my first reel?
What's your first reel?
I want to tell you because it's so
Have you done it yet?
Yeah, one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
No, I did more than that, obviously, but I did my first one.
Okay.
I'll never forget this because it's so embarrassing. I was like, because I didn't know what Reels was at the time. It was like newer, and I was like, and TikTok, I think, had either just launched and it had started to pick up, but I didn't really understand that either. Anyway, I was like, okay, I guess I just do a reel thing. So I clicked the thing to record, and I just stared at the camera and put my hands up. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, that's the video. Like, that's it. I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything.
But you did it.
But I did it.
But you did it.
And I could have
How did it do?
I don't know. I haven't even looked at it. I just stopped after that. I was like, I have no clue what I'm doing. I should probably never do that again.
I was about to say, I'm going to go check it
You should go check it out because
And
it's hilarious. It'll take you a while.
To be honest, if you see other people's content, it's like, how do they got 1.5 million views? Like my barber, love him. He literally he has a couple TikTok videos that have over 1 million views,
which is crazy.
All the ones that go crazy for him, and I think I was telling you, so is literally him walking into his shop, opening the door, turning the light on, turning on the water, it's literally him just setting up his shop.
That's it.
And people love it.
It's crazy.
He does the ones with these badass haircuts and stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing.
God, I could go on this.
Is this on his personal page?
This is on my business. I think.
Oh.
Is it? Yeah, it's on my business. Oh, God.
It's literally just him staring.
There it is.
The hands go up.
It's like, what am I doing? God, this is so embarrassing.
How many views does it have?
Oh, probably 20.
Slide over.
Well, I'm not using the app, so I can't see.
I'll look it up.
36 people have liked it.
Liked, though.
Yeah.
But still.
It's
you got there's a lot of engagement on this. January 4th, 2021.
Wow.
Oh, you're in the game.
So here's the thing, right? You want to stop not doing the reels or the TikTok. You do you do the smart moves. That's a Q&A session.
Mm-hmm.
It's the internet poses a question, he answers it in an entertaining fashion.
Okay, so take that question and that answer, and that's a reel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, Grant.
Use a trending song behind it.
Wow.
Ooh, so what was that? What'd you say? Wait, hold on. What'd you say?
Use a trending sound behind it, but don't edit it into the video. Select the song. You can turn down the volume of the music, I promise. It can all be done inside of the app.
You are going to have to show me how to do that because I've literally spent like an hour trying to
For
figure
the
that out.
low
yesterday.
price.
Did you say a low price? What is happening here? I'm done. God.
I'm just kidding.
just got
No, I
hustled.
love getting people into TikTok and Reels.
So speaking of, she's got a viral video.
It's not even viral.
Shut up! It is
He
too.
like 300,000 views.
Oh, only 300,000
views.
Yeah.
All right.
But
What advice
have you seen the video?
I don't know.
It's literal.
So
I'll let
me
you
and my
explain it.
sister-in-laws
I would again. It's another video that I'm like, okay,
But that's what it always
crazy.
is. It's
Yes.
always the
It's
one
always
that you're like,
something random.
really?
yeah.
we all wore the same dress to Easter. One of my sister-in-laws already had the dress, and I loved the way it looked, and I wanted it because I knew it would be good for my body type as well. And I texted my other sister-in-law who's pregnant, and I just had a feeling she'd have this dress from Target as well. And I said, "What are you wearing tomorrow for Easter?" She sent me a picture. I said, "No freaking way."
That's crazy.
So you know what I'm buying? Same dress. I mean, it's literally just
That's it.
us just walking across.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
And I used a Harry Styles song.
Yeah.
So
Today.
she used a trending song. So
That's it.
Swai, can you tell us?
No acting, no nothing.
Nope.
Can you tell us the key ingredients of making a successful reel?
Well, you should follow creators.
Yeah.
It is an account.
An
It's
Instagram
a-
account?
Yes.
It's just
That's
called
their handle?
creators.
It's it's Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
It's like their
gotcha.
tips. So for creators.
That's smart.
So like the week that collaborators that came out.
Yeah.
That's how I knew what to do. Same with certain things that were getting pushed.
We're gonna have
So
to
that's
look.
where I get a lot of my information from. I want to say I saw either from them or another feed that kind of does information on things getting pushed is that original content is about to start getting pushed more than trending, like not trending sounds, but kind of like the same things
Same
over
video
and over.
over and over.
Because we're kind of getting in this
yeah.
loop, and I've heard Emma Chamberlain just did a podcast about it, and a ton of other content creators then made content about how we're getting in this rut, and there's about to be a culture shift where
Yeah.
everyone's just kind of sick of the same stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because
Hopefully.
think about it, you get
I'm sick of
annoyed.
it.
I've been sick
You're
of it.
looking on your TikToks or your Reels, it's the same thing over and over. You're annoyed, but you're still sucked into it.
Yeah.
So
You're waiting for that next video,
that
the
next-
next hit.
Yeah.
Key
Of something new,
ingredient
yeah.
is something that is
New.
original you haven't
Yes.
heard the sound of before.
Which
You're
then
just
the algorithm's going to change and they're going to start pushing
Yeah.
it. And then it's a whole thing.
This is why I follow maybe like 60 people on TikTok. Instagram, I don't even, maybe 400 on Instagram. Solely because I'm only following you if I like your content.
which is what you would think it would always be.
Yes.
I need to start following some people
Yeah,
from high school.
Yep.
But
Shots fired.
I'm
No,
so bad.
I did.
Yeah.
I had like 3,000.
What was their
One,
name?
You never
yeah,
see.
start listing them all out.
Yeah. So So for me, specifically TikTok, because I just started my account maybe 3 months ago. But I knew, okay, I'm the type of person, I'll get sucked into that rabbit hole real quick. But I also know, their algorithm really will show you a lot of the content that they have. Even if you haven't seen it, it'll show you older stuff of theirs, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But I'm all about, I don't care about the trends. I want people that create original content that I've never seen before.
I would love that.
I love
too.
story times. Story times, so fun.
Yeah.
Talking about the guy that does story time?
No.
What do you mean?
Just, well, I listen to a lot, so then it pops up on my timeline more on TikTok. But just story times of just
people that just sit there and literally just tell a story.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you say that the key ingredients would be recording? I think you mentioned this before. If you can film it on your phone versus editing on a video editing software 100%. And then putting it in, it favors it. Is that true?
A lot of times you see a lot of the content being pushed is not produced well.
Right.
It's just kind of...
It's organic. It's...
No, I'm not saying you can't use a camera, but it doesn't need to be so edited and polished in post-production that you're just... Every time you look at it, you're like, why is this in high definition? Like, please make it make sense.
That's where... So we hired on a marketing company that does kind of... It's not like a reel. It's a 1 minute... It's not a reel, but it's like a 1 minute video that's being promoted through the socials.
I get those ads.
And you probably, if you watch any of my content, you're probably going to get hit with it. But it's 1 minute, and they said you need to not do this professional. Like you've got to do, like they even said, like we need to do your video, and then off of that video, do a one-off video that has to do with that same content. Mm-hmm. And that one-off video is what they're going to see that even more.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was like, really? And I just thought that was weird.
Digestible. It's
right.
Yeah, it just seems more. You seem more relatable, more human, because me watching something on television versus YouTube, they seem more human. You know?
And they're both important because you watch a movie because you want to watch the movie, but you're also interested in the actor and you follow them on their socials. So that's
interesting.
So what were we asking? Key ingredients? Yeah. So keep it real
Captions?
and raw. I mean, like the caption of the video, or adding
like the captions that
generated captions.
Right.
I think that kind of depends, honestly, because if it's a trending sound, it's kind of not going to make sense.
Correct.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But I think
a story time is important.
Yeah, especially on Instagram because it doesn't automatically play the volume. Like you have to actually, when you pull up the app, the first time you have to hit the volume. TikTok, you don't. It automatically plays the volume.
Like I don't really care that much, but sometimes if I'm in public, I don't watch videos a lot in public. But if I do,
I love it when there's captions.
Yeah, then
I'm reading it.
Yeah.
Well, it depends what the video is, but majority of the time I like the...
If you do decide to do that, make sure you look them over before you post it, because I have seen some go terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Not like terribly wrong, but like I have...
The caption made no sense.
Yes, caption doesn't make sense. Yeah.
That's funny.
I had a professor, and this has nothing to do with socials, but I had a professor use automated captions, and what he said was like very sexual, and I was like, I don't think he noticed. And I had to turn the sound up. I was like, okay, well, that really changed the context.
He didn't say what I read.
Right. So just being aware of that. And I know it'll bother some people because sometimes it'll pick the wrong form of your or their.
Yeah.
That's more okay than the wrong word.
Exactly.
Grammar police.
Well, there's always someone out there on the internet. But some people do like to watch videos in public, and that gives them the option. There are some people that have hearing impairments. There are people who just don't want to listen with the sound on. Yeah. Sure. Like you're in bed, your spouse is in there, you're like, I've done that before. I've done that. Miller's going to hate me.
I do love the keyboard warriors, though. They crack me. I follow I follow a couple guys that do low calorie, high protein recipes. Mm-hmm. And there's 2 or 3 times where the guy creating the video he'll say, "Oh yeah, 2 tablespoons," but then in the recipe it's 2 teaspoons. He's like, "Yeah." You get people calling him out. Oh, yeah. So is it 2 tablespoons or 2 teaspoons? I should stop following you.
Man, they get mad.
Yeah.
People,
really mad.
And then he's like, yeah, well, I told you the recipe's below. So
yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, just do a lot of content, push a lot of content.
For sure.
Well, so that's the other thing, kind of coming back to the branding. So we have those videos, and this took a little while to build. Like, it's not like we just all of a sudden have videos for days and we created this content and it all happened overnight. That's not how it is. It's going to take a long time to build that brand. But when you do get that content, just because we keep going back to the socials, like posting consistently is so hard. So, you know, there's different ways to keep up with that, or different ways to, it's an app, or it's either an app or a website that helps you keep up with social media posts, where you can
like
literally
Hootsuite?
schedule them.
Oh, like Hootsuite or
Yeah.
like a.
Yes.
There's several.
Several of them.
By several, there's a ton now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Sure. But you can do that, and that'll help you with your content. But as far as like posting, like, you've got to be front of mind. And that's why on our socials, when we post, like, I try to post as much as I can, because you want to be front of mind. There's I think there's closer to 20, but let's just say there's over 19,000 realtors in Middle Tennessee. Right? That's a lot.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you ask somebody, I don't remember the statistic to this, but you ask somebody, they could probably name off 7 realtors they know off the top of their head.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your content and what you're pushing out, like, you have to be pushing it out constantly to be front of mind. So I've had that happen where I've had so many people that have reached out to me and been like, hey, love your videos, or hey, I love what you posted today, or whatever. And it starts or sparks a conversation. And then I find out that they're trying to buy a house or whatever. And then some of these people turn into whales, where they're literally sending you 10 deals a year. And it's like somebody that bought a $250,000 townhouse that you were like, oh, you know, this is going to be my first time home buyer. And then eventually they'll start buying houses. No, they'll literally send me, like, I've created a raving fan. One of my favorite books, by the way.
Yeah.
One of my favorite books all time. I try to read it every year. But Raving Fan is phenomenal. If you get a chance, go read it. Short read. But to create raving fans, like, if you get a true raving fan, they will become a whale and refer you 10 deals a year easy.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Yeah.
go back to the branding.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so we are running out of time here. So I do want to bring it to what would be your last thoughts to somebody that wants to get into, not even necessarily just branding, but wants to start creating a brand and or content for themselves in their, you can, because we're talking real estate, we can speak to real estate agents, but just anyone in general.
Sure. So I think I'm going to just kind of go down the process of, if you've not started a brand, obviously your name, and, you know, I was told at one point, your name is everything when it comes to real estate. So let's just specifically talk about real estate. If somebody hears your name, it needs to be good. And your name is a part of your brand. I'm not saying that, you know, you've got to go the Derek Trainer route, for instance. Like, I did the DT with the Derek Trainer, and I was very against it because I'm not that guy. But I went that route anyway, just because people, when they see me, they see Derek Trainer, that's who they're working with. And then obviously the trainer group, and we evolved it. And again, it goes back to evolving, but you need to wrap it around who you are. First off, figure out what are you wanting to convey to whoever it is, whether it's real estate or not. What's your mission statement? Like, why should they use you for whatever it is, period. Write out multiple, what you think could be a mission statement, and then compile it together, rewrite it, do whatever you got to do. But come up with that mission statement. And the hook is always great, because if you can come up with a hook that's one sentence and say it to somebody and they're like, huh? Then you get to explain or have a full conversation about it. But that mission statement's what's going to be your core foundation. Once you have that, you can work everything backwards. So you have your logo. You can then start creating, like, come up with what kind of logo do you want to go along with your brand. So, like, I like the sleek look. Like, that's me, the modern sleek look. So we worked, Whitney Spillers and I worked together for a while on creating, like, what even the text would look like. And I wanted it. And now that exact text is now in my listing presentations. It's in my buying presentations. It's on my socials. It's on everything. It's on my website. And having just a clear, concise, everything.
Same font everywhere.
Everywhere.
Size.
That way,
everything, yeah.
when somebody sees it, they're going to see and they're going to say, that's Derek's font, or that's the trainer group font, or that's whatever. So having that logo, that same, everything across the board needs to be the same look, the same feel, same color scheme, everything, including your photos and what you filter. Don't use 50 different filters. Like pick one or two that are very similar, and that's what you need to stick with. But to create that brand, going back to the mission statement, have that mission statement. Once you get that down, just understand that is your core. Build around it no matter what. Always go back to that and say, why are people using me? You know, because it's not just about your personality. It's not about the way you look. They're using you for a reason. You just got to figure out what that is and then tie that into your mission statement. And with the mission statement, after you've come up with that, then create your logo. Then create what direction you want to go. Do you want to do, you know, Reels, or do you want to do TikTok, or do you want to do what is it you want to do? It's not what is everybody else doing. That's always great, but what do you want to do?
Yes.
I'd even take what will you be consistent doing?
You'll be consistent doing the things you want to do.
Yeah.
If you love doing it, it's the same thing with I'll sell anything under the sun if I know what I'm selling and I believe in it. I love houses. I love selling houses. I love everything about real estate. So I'm going to crush it. Yeah. But if I don't know anything about it, IT, right? I didn't know how to sell it. I was terrible at it. It just didn't work out. Yeah. But you have to and then that also goes back to, especially if you're a newer agent, you know, learn the business first. Figure out your brand gradually. You don't have to do it overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. My stuff has changed 5 times in the last 2 years. And it's finally to me, I feel like we're finally kind of consistent. And then it's going to change again.
100%.
So
I'm growing. I'm not feeling this anymore.
yeah, basically.
This is what I like now.
You have to evolve. You have
Dark
to
and
pivot.
moody.
I love dark and moody, by the way. I'm like, man, he said dark and moody. I think I'm going to change.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to be dark and moody, but
It's all right.
Yeah.
it's that time.
Yeah.
I had a blast.
Well done.
Where can everyone find you?
Yes.
Yes, so you can find me on every social media platform. If you go on YouTube and search our YouTube channel, you can literally search my name. Took it forever for us to do it, but search Derek, DEREK Trainer, and our Smart Moves channel pops up. You'll see it. It literally is titled Derek Trainer. And then trainer.homes is our new website, just got built and finished. It's awesome, very sleek. You can search properties. You can contact us on our socials. You can look up the Trainer Group. At the Trainer Group is our handle for Instagram. If you go to Facebook, it's facebook.com/615agent. I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, I don't get on LinkedIn, so I probably shouldn't say that.
He wants your message, is what he's saying. You can message him there, but
You can message me wherever you
it'll
want.
be into the void. Yeah.
It'll go into the void, though. I may not see it for 6 months.
Well,
Sorry.
we're so glad you're able to join us. We hope
had a
you'll come
blast.
back and hang out.
Anytime.
Yeah.
We'll make sure to tag him in the description below. So if you're watching it or you're listening, you can check it out there. But make sure you follow us on all of our platforms, all the socials, all the websites, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye, friends.
See you guys.
Later.
Hey guys, it's Swy. Thank you for joining us this week, and we really hope you got some useful information and we made your day a little bit better. If you're interested in joining the movement of realtors getting their time and life back, check us out at joinsimplihome.com on the browser, at simpliHOM on socials, or in the description. See you next week.